Today we are going to do a project in remembrance of Veterans Day. And there's a cool little Poppy project that we have for you. Now if you are in school, you're going to get a handout just like this. If you are not in school, you are going to use materials that you have at home, like maybe a coffee filter or maybe some old tissue paper that you have, and you'll just do the same kind of stuff as we're doing on the template, okay? So you're gonna get 2 markers and your scissors to start out with. So go grab those and we'll get started. I'll take off my glasses because sometimes I see better without my glasses. Okay. Okay, today we are going to learn a lesson about remembrance for Veterans Day. All right, Veterans Day is coming up soon, and it's a very important day to remember the soldiers, the people who fought in the wars a long time ago, and those who are still fighting for us today. And there's a lot of history behind it, and a lot of these things were done before you were even born. Some of them even before I was born. But there's still people who have those memories of the wars and the things that they've done, and so we're going to honor them on Veterans Day. One of the things that we can do to honor them is to make a special poppy. So you saw the book that I had online, and after you listen to that book, you'll understand a little bit more about the story of the poppy. All right, so if you're in the classroom, you're going to have a handout. If you're at home, you can grab something like a coffee filter or some old tissue paper. It could be white, or it could actually be red like the poppy. And you're going to do the same thing to the stuff you have at home as we're doing to our poppy. So to get started, you're going to have your red and black markers and your scissors. Real simple, real easy. So, of course, for the poppy template, you're just going to color it in the best that you can, coloring it all red. I'm going to leave a little bit like a pie shaped. So that'll be the place where I cut it out. So when I tape it together, that it will be kind of like a little circle. So I'm coloring the best that I can. What I like to do sometimes is go up to the line and then color in the middle. So I'm coloring it in, and y'all know how to color. So I hope that as you're doing this project, that you have in your mind someone that you know or know of that served in the army. That maybe that they served in World War II or in the Vietnam War. There's a lot of wars, or even the Desert Storm, the Iraqi wars. Lots of soldiers out there. So I want you to think about what those soldiers had to go through to fight for our freedom, because that's what they were fighting for. You might think about wars and think, well, why is everybody killing each other and fighting? It's an awful thing. Wars are awful things, but when someone's trying to tell you how to live in a way that you don't agree with and you don't like and is bad for you, then you're fighting for your freedom. That's what they were doing. They were saying, we're not going to allow these things to happen to us in our country. We want America to be strong and free. So when we remember soldiers on Veterans Day, we're saying thank you to them for serving our country. Some of them gave their lives, a lot of them gave their lives so that we could be free to have the things that we have here in America. Freedom to go to whatever church we want to go to, the freedom to speak our minds and to say the things that we feel strong about. Those are important things. Freedom to feel safe. I say thank you to these servicemen that I can go to school, I can go to my place of worship, and I can feel safe. I know that people aren't going to hurt me. There are things that happen, but I know that our country is protected because of soldiers and people in the military, and that they give us that protection. So we honor them. So there's a poem called Flanders Field, and it was over in Belgium where they were fighting the First World War, where all the countries came together on one side to fight a few countries on the other side that were really not doing nice things to their people. And he was out there in the war, and he noticed all the graves and all the soldiers who had died. But then on the same place where they were fighting, there was all these poppies growing. And he wrote a poem called Flanders Field. And in that poem, he remembers his friends that had died and weren't coming home. So then they started to make poppies as a symbol of remembering. All right, so for those of you who have your papers here at school, you're going to cut them out, and we will cut them out. And you're going to make 2 pieces of them. Okay. Try to hurry this up a little bit so I don't run out of time. For those of you who are going to use a coffee filter, you can put watercolor on your coffee filter if you want to and let it dry. Paint it red with the watercolor. Or you can use your washable markers and get it a little bit wet. Spray it down a little bit and let it dry. But let it dry before you start cutting it. So you'll cut it into a little circle, just like we cut out our paper. So now I have a little pie, okay? And cut this one out, and it's gonna go on top. Now, if you are using tissue paper, you do the same thing. But when you cut out, you're gonna cut out a little shape. One of your shapes is full, and one of them has these little openings. Kind of looks like a blade to a fan because they're not all together in a circle. And if you layer them up like that, then it looks more like a real flower. And they would wear these on their lapels, which is right here, on Veterans Day. And that would be a symbol that you are remembering someone who served in the military. And even they had this British Brigade, they had things in Scotland, they have places in different parts of the world where they would sell these poppies after the people made them, and they would take the money that they got for the poppies and they would use it for the veterans, to take care of the veterans that came home that needed help with all the things that happened over in the war. You might have grandparents that served in the war, And some of them might tell you stories about stuff, but some of them might not want to talk about it because it might be kind of sad. So you have to respect that because they saw a lot of different things. Okay, so I'm going to take the little thing and I'm going to put it together like on top of each other. So I'm making a kind of like a cone. Then I'm going to take a little piece of tape. If you have your glue stick, use your glue stick. I forgot to put that on there. Okay, and then you're going to put on the inside the little poppy like that. And you can sew or make a little sticky, those little command strips or different kind of sticky stuff if you want to actually let it pin on here. You can get a little pin from your mom and dad. You can pin it on your lapel. So at 11 o'clock, let's see, it was November 11th at 11 o'clock. That was when the war ended. So at 11 o'clock, this November 11th, stop for at least a couple minutes and think about the soldiers and say thank you for our freedom. All right, well this has been fun and I hope you enjoyed making your poppy. Have a great day. Okay, so for those of you at home that did not have the stencil and you used a coffee filter or another piece of tissue paper or even just a white piece of copy paper, that's perfectly fine too. That's all this was just a piece of copy paper. So whatever you're going to do, you can use, if you're using the filter, it kind of has its own little circle shape, that part that goes in the coffee pot. So you can just color around that shape that's kind of indented there and then do the same thing. You're going to cut it out. And actually the coffee filters, I think, are going to make really cool designs because they're more crunchy and soft looking like a flower. You can even crunch it up and it'll kind of look like a flower without you even having to cut it a certain way. So if you have the coffee filter, you color it red, and then all you're going to do is just put a little black in the center and you got your little poppy thing. So crunch it up kind of like that. You got that? And the coffee filter ones are very, very simple and easy. And then there you go. You got your little poppy. Okay, and if you're at school and you want to go home and do this at home too, you'll get a coffee filter. Well, I'm sure your parents have coffee filters somewhere, unless they don't drink coffee, and then they might not have it, but hopefully they do. Okay,